today. I would like to focus, I've shared my screen, so there are two things I would like to focus in on today. First of all, just a comment. I would like to comment on understanding the current pandemic in the country so that we will understand what is actually happening here. And then I would like to reinforce the NCR+8 exit strategy from the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you want to understand the pandemic in the Philippines, this is the good place to begin. This is the pandemic curve for our country. You can see that the vertical axis is the number of cases and the horizontal axis is the date. And you can see here, this is the first large surge in July and August. And of course, you see here the second peak, which happened just a few months ago. Now notice that in the first surge, you had two peaks, a larger peak for the NCR and a second peak for the provinces, and you are seeing that again today. So when a lot of people ask me what is happening in Bicol today, what is happening in Zamboanga, I look at this particular picture because what is happening is that the variants are spreading around the country like ink in a glass of water. So the variants always enter the country in the NCR, and then they spread. So if there is an ECQ in the NCR plus bubble, the variants cannot spread. And when the ECQ is lifted, they begin to spread around the provinces. So this is what you see here. Three times this has happened. The Wuhan variant last year, the provinces followed the NCR. The B1 variant, the provinces followed the NCR. And again, what you're seeing is now this time, the UK and Indian variant are following the NCR. So what is this? What is our challenge? We must protect the Filipino people from new variants of COVID-19, especially the Indian variant, because the Indian variant is 50% more transmissible than the current variant we have today, the UK variant. And this is why I would like to support the science for enforcing a strict 10-day hotel quarantine for international travelers in the NCR and Cebu. Why? Because the science shows that this quarantine is 99.7% effective at preventing variants from entering a country. Now, there are stricter quarantines in other countries. In Thailand, 14 days in a hotel. United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, 14 days in a hotel. Hong Kong, 21 days in a hotel or in your home, but with daily checks from the government. Why? Because this is 100% effective. So I know that there is a debate in our country about shortening the quarantine. There is no scientific evidence that a 7-day quarantine would protect us enough from the Indian variant. And if it enters Cebu, it will enter the entire country. And it will be catastrophic because we will get another surge and it would destroy Christmas this year. So my point is, let us not follow India. Let us not allow the Indian variant to enter the Philippines. Let us follow the science. So instead of shortening the 10-day quarantine, we should seek ways to verify the vaccine status for returning Filipinos. Now, I know how incredibly burdensome and expensive the 10-day quarantine is. I returned to the Philippines from the United States in May, and I had to stay in a hotel for 10 days. It's very expensive, it is difficult, but it is a sacrifice for the Philippines because we must protect the country against the Indian variant. And so now we have to ask, are there ways to allow vaccinated Filipinos to bypass testing and quarantine? And, we can always consider the IATA travel pass that will be released either this week or next week around the world for precisely this question. The second concern that I will have is the vaccines. So I'd like to consider the exit strategy for the Philippines. So a lot of people are asking today, how can we end the pandemic? This is called an exit strategy. And I want you to understand, remember this picture. The variants enter the NCR and then they spread throughout the provinces. So this is the exit strategy. If you vaccinate the NCR, then they cannot spread to the provinces. And there are 3 different ways for these exit strategies. And the government has chosen the NCR+8 first. And so I would like to focus on this. So what percentage of a population needs to be vaccinated? You have to understand how vaccines work. So this is a wonderful image. On the upper left hand, you have 0%. So the red dots are people with COVID-19, and the blue dots are people who have not been vaccinated. And you can see with no vaccination, the number of red dots increases quickly because they can easily find blue dots. Now notice what happens as the number of yellow dots increases, and the yellow dots is the vaccinated people. When you get to 75%, the red dots cannot spread because they cannot find blue dots because they're surrounded by yellow dots. This is called herd immunity. And so this is a picture of a herd of elephants. So when a lion attacks a herd of elephants, the elephants will form a circle around the young and old elephants to protect the baby elephants and the old elephants from the lion. The same thing is happening with population immunity. When we get vaccinated, we don't just protect ourselves and protect our families, we protect the nation as well. So what is our target? There are two levels of targets. One is called containment, 40% to 50%, and the attack rate will drop below 1 in 100,000. And herd immunity against COVID-19, 70 to 80%, the attack rate, which is the number of cases per day, relative to the population, will be near zero. So what does containment do? It protects against future surges. It allows us to open the economy. It allows us to have no masks when people are vaccinated. Outbreaks will still occur, but the virus will struggle to spread through the population. Herd immunity, the reason why we target herd immunity is because when you reach herd immunity, the virus starves. The virus dies, we will return to old normal, and even the unvaccinated are protected against the virus. It will end the pandemic. Now, one of the key ideas I need to stress is that we have to build herd immunity at every level. We have every family must become herd immune, every office, every business, every barangay, every LGU has to attain herd immunity. It is not just the herd immunity of the country, but the herd immunity is built from the bottom up. 70% at every level will build herd immunity in our country, which is why we should incentivize building herd immunity. Families and households should be vaccinated first. So all the members in a family should be vaccinated to reach herd immunity. Seniors should be allowed to go out once they're fully vaccinated, as long as they have masks. And indoor dining should be allowed for fully vaccinated persons and their families. Remember, we must make vaccination special to encourage vaccine envy. So businesses, when they achieve herd immunity, they should be rewarded. Barangays also, when they achieve herd immunity. The entire country must be trying to get herd immunity at the low level building up. Now, can it be done? Yes, it can. So New York and California, the two largest states that were affected by COVID, as of 2 days ago, they have no more masks, no more social distancing. Disneyland is open because they were able to reach containment. Israel was also able to reach containment, so they have no more masks. So we can do the same thing in the Philippines. We have to vaccinate the NCR plus 8. Why the NCR plus 8? Because we do not have enough vaccines with the severe global shortage. So how many do we need? 33 million for containment and 52 million doses for herd immunity. When will we get this? Well, this is Secretary Galvez provided the schedule for the vaccine arrivals, and basically by September or October, we will have enough vaccines to vaccinate the NCR plus 8. And when we build herd immunity in the NCR plus 8, we will protect the rest of the country because surges always begin in the NCR. So how long will it take? We calculated if 250,000 per day, We will get to containment in October, and herd immunity in November. And this is a realistic and attainable goal for all of us. So we have to imagine as a country a no mask Christmas. Can we have a no mask Christmas? What would it look like? It would look like what it was before. This is possible. Israel showed once you attain containment, you do not even have to have herd immunity. The average daily attack rate has to fall between 1 and 100,000. That is about 100 cases per day in the NCR. When that happens, we can begin to lift social distancing and masking arrangements. So this is my last slide. This is something that we can imagine. Let us all do this together, where we achieve herd immunity, the NCR +8, by Christmas, and by the rest of the country by sometime next year. Thank you very much. And I can answer questions about my vaccine as well. Correct. I follow the numbers of vaccinations in the NCR and the NCR +8. We have the capacity as long as we have the supply. And I am hopeful that the supply is arriving based upon the schedule that Secretary Galvez has published. And it's very clear around the world that more vaccines are being released now that the United States and many of the countries in the West are completing their vaccine program. So I'm incredibly hopeful that we will have, if possible, a no mask Christmas, as Secretary Roque pointed out, at least outside, if not inside, amongst vaccinated people.